And hello once again. Hello once again. Today, Wednesday, July 26, 2023. This is recording 553, entitled Experiencing True Freedom. Experiencing True Freedom. Every man on the planet, every woman on the planet desires one thing. They may think it's money. They may think it's possessions. They may think it's a lot of things, but at the basis of what they're looking for is a freedom. But in acquiring those types of things, most people think that they're gaining freedom, but they really aren't, because with the responsibility or the acquisition of gaining freedom, we tend to look at it as freedom from, okay? Freedom from. From what? People bothering me, people overcharging me, people doing things to me and the law won't let me pay them back, people talking about me, or people resisting me, keeping me from things that I deserve. I just learned of a young lady who was promoted from the mailroom to the director of a project. How do you move that quickly? Because they have a connection, see? And the thing about it is, how many other people were qualified in between her qualifications? People have connections, and they think that by getting freedom, they have freedom from. But let me just give you something that really, really denotes what freedom is. Freedom is not something that you are protected from. Freedom is something that you are in. It is a part of you, and you don't question its ability to take care of you. You simply see what is there in front of you, and because you know who you really are, you just simply acknowledge, yeah, I see you, but you see, I am free in the understanding of who I am. I realize where I come from. I realize what I'm made of. And I realize that no matter what befalls, how many mistakes I made, I cannot be separated from that. Remember a week or so ago I told you, you cannot remove water from water. You cannot remove the substance of something from what it is. So therefore, we need to understand, and a lot of times, y'all probably can hear the excitement in my voice today. When you sit and say, there is a Niagara Falls, but few people fail to realize that there would be no Niagara Falls if there were not a Lake Erie feeding it. What did I mean by that? Well, since we all come from one master spirit, we can never, no matter what we do, even if we say, I don't want to have anything to do with God, you still cannot be separated from the fact that God basically is Lake Erie. And for you to be separated from Lake Erie would negate Niagara Falls. It would just cease to exist. But also keep in mind that if God allowed that to happen, then God would cease to exist. Because all things on this planet are made up by, and constituted within the one spirit. Now, this is a contemplation that we have to sit until the realization comes. Memorizing it does not give us the ability to appropriate the confidence of standing firm in situations until the realization reveals outwardly that we cannot be separated from that which is good. And that which is good allows us to make mistakes on our way as long as our hearts are sincere and as long as we are committed to climbing that mountain. True freedom comes from contemplation of truth from the highest reality until, here comes that principle again, realization becomes demonstration. When does realization become demonstration? When realization hits. It's not an ongoing process. It's not a process of dropping a seed in the ground and then waiting 3-4 months for it to grow. No. In the spirit world, realization is immediate demonstration. Now, the actual product may take a while, but it's only because of our awareness not being to the height of expecting it to happen right then. You see, when a person gains a lot of money, which then is translated into protection. The rich can get millions and billions of dollars, and then they can separate themselves from the masses. Then they can kind of see themselves as being set free or having their freedom. And in a sense, they even make up their own rules. When you or I get called on the carpet, justice comes down and swings its blow at us and gives us our punishment. But when the rich get called, they immediately start to qualify who they are, how influential they are, and if they cannot find a way to keep them from being found guilty, they start looking for plush prisons to put them in, red carpet prisons, and places to where they can kind of live out a so-called freedom. It's what Jesus called when you're cast out, when the world finds out that you're wrong. He says the world is smarter than Christians or people of God because they will at least align themselves with everlasting habitations, which take them in when they are kicked out. But if you'll notice, Christians, they don't do that. When they believe just allegedly that you are guilty, you don't have to be. They'll kick you under the bus and throw you away and act like they've been perfect all along. But that's not the case. But getting back to the rich, when that rich person gets all of that money, look at the responsibility that now comes with it. Now they've got to align themselves with people who are not going to steal. They've got to be able to have somebody to watch over the money to make sure the interest gained daily is being applied to their accounts. They have to make sure that the places where they live now are guarded with security and fences and whatnot. They have to make sure that the people who live next door to them are actually on the same level of consciousness. But the bottom line is, in God, we can sit and contemplate the truth from the highest. That's what the Bible talks about when it says when you go into the mountains. That's what he's talking about. He's not actually talking about going in a mountain. He said when you go high in consciousness and perceive what God is saying, perceive what God is thinking, what God is doing, that understanding, as Paul calls it, transforms our consciousness and transforms us into, oh my God, it transforms us into an experience here in the earth where we are confronted with many allegations and suggestions and negativities, but we are not overcome by any of them because there's a truth in our conscience that wards all this stuff off. Yes, it's uncomfortable when it's coming at you. Yes, it's uncomfortable when it's making its threat. Yes, it's uncomfortable when people are saying these things, but Jesus says, be still. Isaiah says, be still. Be still and know. You see, in 1987, I experienced firsthand what I thought to be true freedom. I'm not going to go into that, exactly what happened, but it was something that was so moving that I realized there was another dimension to this world that we're living in. I had a first-person account or experience of the presence and working of answered prayer. Prayer was given out, and it was answered to the point where it got my attention. Unlike a man that I spoke to yesterday who is going through a real bad situation, and he said, I called this organization and I called that organization, and they tell me they'll help me, but it's going to take 6 months. He said, I don't know if I can make it 6 months. And I looked at him and I said, yeah, and you know that anything I would say to you, he said, I said, y'all know, everybody around here thinks I'm way off the cuff. He said, yeah, I know. I said, but you wouldn't have to wait 6 months. You could get your answer tomorrow if you knew how to pray. And he looked at me and he said, well, I told him, meaning I told God what I needed. And I looked at him and I said, and you know that don't work. It don't work like that. How many times have you told God? How many times have you on this call expressed to God a desire to have a prayer answered? And it was legitimate, and he just seemed to just ignore you. Because we must get in touch with the infinite. And to get in touch with the infinite, we must open up ourselves to allow the influx of God's presence to, as people say, come into our presence. But it's always there. We're just not aware of it. And when we become aware of it, realization sets in and immediate demonstration sets in. When I got that answer, I said, boy, this is it now. I'm on my way. You see, because my consciousness had not changed to the point to where it needed to be to have a relationship bound in God. I just saw answered prayer. As with I and my brother, and over the last couple of weeks, have noticed a couple of people came and got prayers answered and then disappeared. And we were talking about it. I said, well, think about it, pal. They have tried to get it from the world. They tried to get it from the churches. They tried to get it from organizations. They tried and tried and tried. And guess what? They found you. And now they know that they can come to you and get an answer to prayer. They know this. But what do they do when they get the answer? They go back. They go back into what they think is freedom, but it's not. But what's at the base of their understanding? They know that they know where answered prayer is now, and they're going to continue to come. You see, we have to understand that we're in a harvest, and the harvest is training us. I thought, man, I got it. But after this miraculous happening, here I am, 37 years later, coming to somewhat of an understanding of what happened. And the question was asked of me, why are you seeking me? See? That's what God's going to ask you. Once he reveals himself to you, and you see how good he can be, he's going to ask you, why are you seeking me? Are you seeking me for loaves and fishes? Which is what Jesus asked those people. Why are you seeking me? Are you seeking me just so you can get out of whatever you're doing and go back to whatever you're doing and have a good time? It was now decision time. Quality decision. I had experiences, the promises come true, but could I, or should I say, would I be willing to stay in it for the real reward? Which I must say, I had no idea of what the real reward would be, or that 36, 37 years later, here I am speaking of it as you have me today. Being the type of person that I am, I usually always notice that there is always another step in a process after I have figured something out. That just happened to me last night. I figured something out a couple of days ago, and I was just sitting at the table, and a thought came to me. Couldn't that go to another level? Let me get up and go in here and see. And I began to go in and sit down, and I went, yes, it can. See, there's always another process beyond the one that you thought solved your process. Why? Because God is infinite. And we will never, ever fully understand the fullness of God while we're here, but we will understand enough if we always realize that there is another level. To actually enter into a bona fide quality relationship with the creator of the universe and experience as the great masters have, man, what an opportunity and a challenge. Opportunity. I can see the opportunity. God is saying, come unto me, all ye that labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. There's an opportunity. Challenge. Can it be done? Can I actually enter into a relationship with God that I can speak about without people ridiculing me, without people thinking I'm crazy, without people telling me, oh, no, man, you don't aligned yourself with something? Can it be done? But as I spoke last week to you, for some reason I love a challenge. I don't know why, but I love a challenge. So I sign up, not knowing that it might require more than I thought myself to have or to be able to undergo. What is the first step? First and foremost, a concrete understanding of just who and what God is. Now, you might say, well, I don't know how to do that. Well, when you decided you wanted to be a pharmacist, a doctor, a teacher, a lawyer, you didn't know what was required, but you signed up and you started, as they say in class, 101. 201, 301, 401, and you just go through all and electives, and you go through learning and learning and learning. Well, God has the same type of class, and it's always set up with enter in and let me do the teaching. Don't come and tell me what you need, because what's one of the first things? God is omniscient, all-knowing. So there's no need for you to tell God anything. Well, he said, well, how's he going to know? Remember now, the life flow that's flowing through you. Life Erie. I mean, Lake Erie. It has to be intelligence. Look at where you came from. A seed and an egg joined together, and look at you. From that came bones and brains and eyes. Has to be intelligence. So therefore, a concrete understanding that God knows all. But I can't just give over. I could end up dead. Well, yeah, you can. But if you don't give up, you're definitely going to end up dead. So make the choice. God is all-knowing. Look, Father, teach me how to sit in the classroom, and when these thoughts come to tell me what I need, teach me to keep my mouth shut. Okay? The Father, go into your closet, and the Father that heareth in secret will reveal to the world how much he loves you. Well, what is the Father listening to? The Father is listening to the needs that are coming to your consciousness. Remember, you and God are the same substance in the temple, in the same body. So therefore, whatever your understanding is of what you need, God is hearing that, and he hears it before you hear it. So therefore, the Father that heareth in secret, if you go, need to get some groceries, but I really don't have enough money, the Father goes, what? The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. I prepared a table before you in the presence of that suggestion that says you don't have enough money. Oh, thank you, Father. Thank you. Now give me the ability to get through this inconvenient period of time where it looks like I'm not going to get the money or the food. Someone may come and invite you out. Someone may bring you groceries, or you may get a check. No, it doesn't matter. The Father heareth in secret, and you're thanking him that he's hearing. This is required You all use that. I don't know what happened, but something decided that it wanted to cut me off. But I'll continue. All that were the foundation of having God, now and we in His, therefore we're we must come to a place where we will not hesitate to rely upon this fact. No matter how hard it is, we rely on this. Even if the required change does not appear immediately, or even if it appears to be a failure, we stand. For this is holy ground. We stand on that ground, realizing that God is on Lake Erie, and I am like Niagara Falls. God will never separate Himself from me. The only persuasion that I must make in this world is with myself. Praise God, y'all. Hopefully this is the last interruption. But let us know that we must sit in this understanding. We sit in it until a realization comes to us. We'll feel something. We'll hear something. We'll know something. And we'll know that we can stand. Because God must become my entire awareness. The presence of God must be there, excluding all other sources and resources. And what do I mean by that? Do not consider a devil or a Satan that can stand in and thwart the hand of God, because God says, I contend with no other power. There comes number 2, omnipotence, all power. So when it looks like someone has an advantage over you, fret not. It's not true. God is the only power. And therefore, if God is the only power and God is the only knowledge, then God would have to be the only presence. The truth of God's presence must be absorbed into our conscience until all debating and otherwise limiting beliefs are dissolved. That is the casting out of anything that would come to say you're going to fail. God did not create you to fail. So therefore, as we sit in the truth of God's word, this truth will begin to cast out limiting devices. Just one day you'll look up and you'll go, oh, I'm not afraid of that anymore. Or, oh, I know the truth. Or, I'm learning to trust. Truth must be believed beyond contemplation. What does that mean? Well, in most organizations and associations, truth is memorized. The Bible is put before them. Most people don't even read their Bible. But most sit in a congregation and they listen to what they believe the interpretation is from coming across the pulpit. But in reality, we must go to the scriptures, look at the scriptures, and ask God to reveal the truth. And when God reveals the truth to us, then we will have some form of realization. And when that realization comes, we will have a demonstration. We contemplate, we think about truth, we keep it on our mind. As I said in a week or so before, remember, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. We keep these truths foremost, one truth, two truths, as many as you can, or just, God, I love you. Show me that you love. We keep these things paramount until they begin to grow, as in a harvest. The voice or presence must confirm with signs following that what you have contemplated will stand and provide that which has been promised. I'm going to say that again. It is God who confirms that what you have contemplated will come and confirm itself, and it brings what? Freedom. Trust me, it brings freedom with it. And you'll, instead of you looking at the thing that was put there and go, oh, wow, yes, your mind, your attention will go to the relationship. He does love me. Why doesn't the world know this? Because the world has swallowed the matrix pill. The world has swallowed the pill that lets them believe that they belong to something that they can't get out of, whereas the blue pill opens our eyes and allows us to see the infinity that's out there loving us and just waiting on our recognition that it's there. The confirmation may be visible, or it may be an inner receptivity that is recognized. But it must come with a capital I. It must come. And when it comes, it brings its reward with it. What then is experiencing true freedom? Is the constant remembrance and recognition of a law constantly working in all things that provides all that has been promised or spoken of, especially by those who have gone before us. Do you realize how ridiculous it would be to read what Moses, Joshua, Jacob, Elijah, Elisha, Isaiah, Jesus, Paul? Look how ridiculous it is to read what they have said and experienced, and we can't. We can't experience that. I'm going to give that law again. It is their constant remembrance and recognition of a law, constantly working in all things that provides all that has been promised or spoken of. And you say, well, how can I do that? Well, I'm going to use this example, and then I hope that it equates. Remember when you thought you were falling in love and you couldn't get that opposite person couldn't get them off your mind? You just thinking about them, thinking about them, thinking about them? That's the way this truth has to come to us, to where we think about it all the time. And when we find ourselves maybe not thinking about it, we force ourselves to think about it. And when we say, well, I don't know what to think, we'll say, but I just want to know God. Somehow we keep this foremost in our mind because what? We realize how important it is. And we keep it on our mind, and God will reveal to us what we have contemplated. In closing, true freedom, the oneness shared with the Creator. It alleviates all fears, claims, limitations, assaults, etc., leaving one with an undeniable knowledge that God is, and God is alone, not contending with anything, not fighting with anything, and especially not fighting with a devil. And for those of you who say, well, I believe there is a devil, please go look at Hebrews chapter 2, verse 14, where it states emphatically and clearly that Jesus destroyed him who had the power of death. That is the devil. And I think I got every word right. So don't take my word that there is no devil. Please, Hebrews 2:14, look it up. It's written right there. The understanding of God's presence in our lives squelches every hidden agenda of this world that would come to tell us that God is going to punish us. No, he's not. Jesus came to heal and to forgive. That God is our Father, and God provides all things that he may be glorified in the earth. And guess where that glorification is going to be? It's going to be right there at Niagara Falls. Get it? Or visible, or the visible realm. And the glorification is that which I am. That is true freedom. God bless. Father, thank you that freedom exists. It's everywhere. It's within. It's without. It's to the left. It's to the right. Freedom is in the temple, which I am. You are in the temple, which I am. So where you are, I am. And where I am, you are. So what shall I fear if I understand that I am always with you and you will never cast me aside? You only come that I might know the truth. And the truth is that you have loved me with a love divine, and you will never cast me outside of that love. If I falter or fail or fall down, you will constantly say, get up, wipe yourself off. Set your heart straight, and let's move on. For this is the way. For God has given us a way that no man takes away. God has given us a way that no spirit takes away. Wow. Where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is true freedom.